If you've ever smelled a fragrance that feels smooth, airy, woody, and expensive, but you can't point to one obvious note, there's a good chance ISO E-Super is doing the heavy lifting. What's up, family? Welcome back to Scent Science, simplified by mood and senses. Today we're talking ISO E-Super, and I'm going to break it down in plain language for beginners. By the end of this video, you'll know what ISO E-Super is, what it smells like, what it does inside a formula, what happens when you overdose it, and what other aroma chemicals it supports. So first, what is ISO E-Super? ISO E-Super is a modern aroma chemical used in perfumery to create a woody amber aura. And I want you to really hear that word, aura. ISO E-Super isn't like a loud essential oil where you smell it and instantly say, that's lemon or that's rose. It's more like a soft cloud of wood. It's smooth, it's airy, it's warm, and it helps other materials blend together. If you're a beginner, here's the simplest way to think about it. ISO E-Super is a modern woody backbone. It helps a perfume feel connected, and it helps a perfume feel expensive. Now let's talk about how people describe it, because you'll hear a bunch of different phrases and they're usually pointing to this same vibe. You'll hear ISO E-Super described as a woody amber molecule, velvet woods, soft airy woods, an amber wood aura, smooth cedar, pencil shavings, radiant woodiness. And that pencil shavings description is real. It's important because that's often what shows up when ISO E-Super is overdosed or not balanced correctly. So, what does ISO E-Super actually smell like? ISO E-Super can be tricky because some people smell it strongly and some people smell it lightly. It can feel like it comes and goes. But in general, it smells like smooth, clean wood, airy, warm amber wood, a soft, dry, woody haze. It's not sweet. It's not fruity. It's not floral. It's like the background lighting in a movie scene. You don't notice the light bulb, but you notice the mood it creates. Now, let's get into the real value. What ISO E-Super does inside a formula. I'm going to give you 5 main jobs ISO E-Super can do. If you remember these 5 jobs, you'll know when to use it and when to leave it alone. Job number 1, diffusion. ISO E-Super helps a fragrance push outward. Not in a sharp, screechy way. In a smooth, clean way. If your perfume smells good up close, but it doesn't have that trail, ISO E-Super can help create that aura. Job number 2, backbone. ISO E-Super gives your formula a modern woody structure. A lot of beginner formulas smell like separate parts. The top smells like one thing, the heart smells like another thing, and the base smells like something else. ISO E-Super helps make it feel like one continuous story. Job number 3, bridge. ISO E-Super is a bridge material. It helps connect citrus and fresh notes into musks. It helps connect florals into woody ambers. It helps connect airy hearts into long-lasting bases. If you ever smell your perfume and think, my top is nice, but the dry down feels like it comes out of nowhere, that's a bridge problem. ISO E-Super can help solve that. Job number 4, polish. ISO E-Super can make a blend feel less like a list of ingredients and more like a finished fragrance. It smooths transitions. It makes the formula feel more designer. Job number 5, fabric aura. ISO E-Super often helps fragrance last on clothing with a soft, woody presence. That's part of why it's used so much in modern perfumery. Now, let's talk about the biggest beginner mistake, overdosing ISO E-Super. When ISO E-Super is overdosed, your perfume can become too dry. It can start smelling like pencil shavings. The pretty fruit and florals can get muted, and the whole fragrance can turn into an ISO E-cloud. Here's the key lesson. ISO E-Super is a support material. It's like a stage. If the stage becomes bigger than the artist, you stop hearing the song. So if you smell your trial and you're thinking, where did my pear go? Or where did my rose go? And all you smell is dry, woody air, ISO E-Super is probably too high. If you think you overdosed ISO E-Super, here's a simple beginner approach to fix it. First, reduce it. Don't try to cover it. Then, if the blend still feels rough or too dry, add a buffer material, like musks or Ambroxan, to round the feel. Now, let's talk about what ISO E-Super supports, because this is where you start blending like a pro. ISO E-Super supports materials that benefit from diffusion and smoothness. It's best when it's supporting something, like a stage that makes the lead singer sound bigger. It supports fresh materials like dihydromercenol. That combination makes fresh cologne structures feel more modern and less harsh. It supports Hedione. Together, ISO E-Super and Hedione create airy radiance and lift. It supports woody amber materials like Ambroxan. Ambroxan adds glow and long-lasting amber warmth on top of ISO eSuper's wood aura. It supports cashmere. Cashmere adds cozy musky woody texture and warmth, more sweater, less air. It supports musks for trail. Romandolide gives a clean modern musk trail, and ISO eSuper helps it diffuse. Globalide gives smooth, elegant musk body, and ISO eSuper helps it feel airy instead of heavy. Galaxolide adds familiar clean softness, and ISO eSuper can keep the overall feel from getting too thick. It also supports clean floral body materials. Benzyl salicylate adds smooth floral body, and ISO eSuper helps the heart melt into the base. Hydroxycitronellyl adds clean floral body, and ISO eSuper helps the blend feel polished and modern. Now here's how to practice ISO eSuper so you actually learn it, not just hear about it. Practice number 1. Smell it over time. Put ISO eSuper on a blotter and smell it at 5 minutes, 30 minutes, 2 hours, and the next day. Write down what changes. Practice number 2. Compare it on fabric. Put a tiny amount on a cotton swatch or even a paper towel. ISO eSuper often shows up beautifully on fabric. Practice number 3. The bridge test. Take a simple fresh structure you already have, citrus, Hedione, and musks. Make 2 versions. One with no ISO eSuper and one with ISO eSuper. Smell the difference in how connected the perfume feels. Let's recap. ISO eSuper is a woody amber aura material. People describe it as velvet woods, soft airy woods, and sometimes pencil shavings. It's used to add diffusion, structure, and smooth transitions. If you overdose it, it can make your fragrance too dry, mute your main idea, and turn the perfume into an ISO e-cloud. And it supports materials like Hedione and dihydromercenol, Ambroxan and cashmere, musks like romandolide, globalide, and galaxolide, and smooth floral body materials like benzyl salicylate and hydroxycitronellyl. If you want, send me one of your formulas and I'll tell you exactly where ISO eSuper should sit so you get projection and polish without overdosing. And for the next video, tell me which material you want next: Hedione, Ambroxan, dihydromercenol, or romandolide.